Welcome to today's explainer on the immune system. We're talking about that incredibly complex, totally microscopic network of organs, cells, and proteins that defends your body against outside invaders, all while protecting your own cells. Today, we're going to explore the defense grid that keeps you alive, functioning, and healthy day in and day out. To really wrap our heads around how your body reacts to a simple breach, like a tiny paper cut, we have to look at the literal microscopic war happening inside you every single day. We often don't even think about our immune system until we're feeling a bit under the weather. But the reality is, a paper cut is basically a shattered castle wall to billions of invisible pathogens. What happens next is a highly coordinated, rapid response military operation. Here's our battle map for today. We're going to meet your immune system, inspect the white blood cell army, check out your physical barriers, listen for the alarm, and finally, deploy the special ops.
All right, part 1, meet your immune system.
Immunity is, at its core, your body's ability to react to non-self molecules called antigens. An antigen is usually just a protein or carbohydrate that kicks off an immune response. This could be a pathogen, which literally means something that causes disease, or it could just be an allergen that gives you the sniffles. Your immune system's primary job is to recognize these foreign invaders, along with rogue internal threats like cancer cells, and efficiently eliminate them, all while kickstarting tissue repair. It's a massive multitasking job. Now, your overall defense is basically split into two distinct branches. On one side, we have innate immunity. You are born with this. It's your body's standard, non-specific defense grid, and it goes to work immediately without needing any prior exposure to an invader. On the other side is adaptive immunity, which you develop over a lifetime. That system is highly specific and is acquired only after you're exposed to specific antigens. Today, we're going to really zero in on the incredible, immediate power of that innate, non-specific system.
Moving on to part 2, the white blood cell army.
So before we simulate an attack, we need to meet the troops. Your white blood cell army is divided into two main factions based entirely on their physical structure, the granulocytes and the agranulocytes. Granulocytes actually have visible little packets, or granules, inside them, whereas the agranulocytes appear much smoother. And both of these factions play incredibly distinct, vital roles in keeping you safe. Let's look a little closer at those granular leukocytes. Those visible granules? They actually contain powerful enzymes and proteins. First up are the neutrophils. These are the most abundant troops you have, and their main job is to phagocytize, basically to eat and digest bacteria. Pretty wild, right? Then we have the basophils. These are the guys responsible for releasing histamine, which triggers inflammatory responses and, those pesky allergy symptoms. Finally, the eosinophils. These are your specialized forces, tasked with a very specific, honestly gruesome job, fighting off parasitic worms. On the flip side, we have the agranulocytes, which lack those visible granules. This group includes monocytes, which are actually the largest white blood cells. Monocytes are fascinating because they differentiate into two specialized cells, dendritic cells and macrophages. Dendritic cells act kind of like intelligence officers. They capture microbes with their long dendrites and then stimulate other cells to step up and defend the body. Macrophages, on the other hand, are the ferocious heavy hitters standing guard in organs like your liver, kidneys, and spleen, just waiting to aggressively engulf and destroy any pathogens that cross their path. Now, just bridging into the adaptive side of things for a second, we have the other major type of agranulocyte, the lymphocytes. We've got B cells, which are responsible for producing highly specific antibodies, and then we have T lymphocytes, or T cells. T cells are essentially the enforcers and commanders. Cytotoxic T cells directly kill compromised cells, while helper T cells regulate your entire immune response. Okay, section 3, first line, physical barriers. Now that we know the troops, let's see what happens during an actual invasion, starting right at the castle walls. It is truly amazing how your innate immunity's first line of defense consists of constant, passive mechanical and chemical barriers. Obviously, you've got your skin and the mucous membranes lining your tracts, but it goes way deeper. Your upper respiratory tract relies on tiny hair-like cilia to literally sweep trapped particles away. Your skin has oil glands secreting chemicals explicitly designed to kill bacteria. Your stomach acid, that is literally a chemical moat. And we absolutely can't forget the normal healthy bacteria in your intestines that just naturally outcompete potential pathogens for space and resources. Which brings us to section 4, second line, the alarm. So what happens when those barriers are breached? Well, the cells and chemicals in that area generate inflammation. This is your body's generalized alarm response. We've all experienced this, right? The 4 cardinal signs of inflammation: redness, heat, swelling, and pain. These aren't just random side effects. The redness and heat, that's caused by dilated capillaries, increasing local blood flow. The swelling happens because fluid is just flooding into the tissue spaces, and it's actually that swelling that causes the pain, because that excess fluid pushes aggressively against your nerve endings. It is a highly coordinated reaction to completely wall off the infection. Let's break that alarm down into a rapid 4-step sequence. Step 1. Injured tissue cells and local mast cells release chemical mediators, mainly histamine, causing your blood vessels to dilate and become super permeable. Step 2. Resident macrophages and dendritic cells start eating pathogens and releasing chemical signals called cytokines. That's them calling for backup. Step 3. Because those blood vessels are now dilated and leaky, those abundant neutrophils and monocytes physically squeeze through the capillary walls to join the fight. It's literally like reinforcements storming a breach. And finally, step 4. Blood clotting mechanisms step in to wall off the capillary, preventing blood loss and keeping the infection totally trapped. It is a stunning microscopic battlefield. Finally, we've got Section 5, Second Line Special Ops. When standard inflammation just isn't enough, your innate system deploys its special operations units. Enter the natural killer, or NK cells. Sounds intense, right? These are large agranular cells that act as nonspecific assassins. They seek out and kill virus-infected and cancerous body cells via direct cell-to-cell contact. They force those target cells to undergo apoptosis, which is essentially programmed cell death. But what makes NK cells part of your innate system is that they aren't looking for specific antigens. Instead, they patrol for cells missing a particular self molecule on their surface. Think of it like an ID badge. If a cell doesn't have the proper badge, the NK cell simply terminates it. No questions asked. Supporting these cellular troops is an incredible chemical weapon known as the complement system. This is a group of protective plasma proteins floating in your blood that literally complement the immune response. They do a few key things. They stimulate mast cells to release more histamine, and they act as a beacon to attract more phagocytes. But honestly, their most ruthless tactic is forming what are called membrane attack complexes. These proteins literally punch microscopic holes directly into the outer surface of bacteria and certain viruses. Because of osmosis, fluid violently floods into the pathogen through these holes until the cell bursts wide open. So the crazy thing is, while your innate defenses, from the physical barriers to the fiery inflammatory response to the special ops NK cells, are incredibly robust, they are really just part of the story. Because as our source material beautifully states, your immune system keeps a record of every germ it has ever defeated, allowing it to recognize and destroy that microbe in record time if it ever enters the body again. Which leaves us with a fascinating question to ponder as we wrap up today's explainer. Your innate defenses are absolutely amazing, providing this instant, aggressive barrier to a hostile world. But what happens when a clever virus outsmarts those physical barriers, evades the neutrophils, and completely ignores the complement system? How does your body fight an enemy it can't just brute force? That's exactly when your body shifts over to the brilliant targeted memory of your adaptive immune system. But we're going to have to save that microscopic marvel for next time. Thank you so much for exploring your body's ultimate fortress with us. See you in the next one.